Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and in today's video we're taking a look at the Holy Paladin on the Shadowlands beta for World of Warcraft. Yesterday we looked at Ret Paladin, tomorrow we're going to look at Prot Paladin, so make sure to check out those as well if you're interested in the other Paladin specs. Of course, we're going to be looking at every class and spec here on the beta. We've already done a couple of the classes, and there's many more to come over the next few weeks, so plenty of content to stay tuned for. Yeah, I mean, Holy Paladin, one of the emergent specs, wasn't it, in BFA? Glimmer playstyle, a totally new way to play Holy Paladin, emerged thanks to Azerite traits. And Holy Paladin got catapulted up to being, arguably, almost definitely the strongest healer in the entire game by the end of the expansion. So the big question then is, how are they looking in Shadowlands? What has Blizzard done to incorporate or not incorporate that playstyle into the Paladin? What is it looking like? Let's dive in. Take a look at all the baseline changes. There's a lot of them. Talent changes. There's quite a few of those as well. Plus then all the new stuff in Legendaries, Conduits, Covenant abilities, and so on. Without any further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so let us jump in here to actually show you some of these baseline changes. Stuff's gone a bit crazy here on the beta. I'm not sure why, but apparently the Kyrian Covenant Hall is currently engaged in some hyperspace travel right now. But let's take a look at the Holy Paladin and see what they've got. Okay, the big, massive thing here is that Holy Power has come back to the Holy Paladin as a core part of their kit. You can have up to 5 Holy Power at a time. You generate Holy Power with generator abilities, and then you spend it on Holy Power consuming abilities, which cost 3 Holy Power each. To generate Holy Power, you've got a number of ways of doing this. The first one is Crusader Strike. Crusader Strike will generate 1 Holy Power with every usage, so that really encourages this, the melee playstyle and weaving in your damage. Holy Shock is also going to generate 1 Holy Power whenever you use it, whether that's to heal or to do damage. You're going to get a Holy Power from that. A new ability actually for Holy Paladins is Hammer of Wrath, coming from the Ret Paladin, and I think Prot Paladin, can't remember now, but it's now baseline for all Paladin specs. No longer talent or anything, just straight up baseline. This, you can only use it on targets that have less than 20% health, or during Avenging Wrath. It will do a very good chunk of damage, about 1,200 holy damage, and that will also generate 1 holy power. So that's going to feel really good. It's going to really emphasize your healing against execute targets, which is awesome. Not only are you going to, as a healer, not only are you doing more damage against targets in execute range, but you're also going to be better at healing during that window as well. So that's nice. And of course, it's going to ensure a very smooth flow of Holy Power, or a smoother flow of Holy Power during Avenging Wrath, which is exactly what you want, isn't it? It's your big healing cooldown. You want to feel like you're throwing out your best heals during that window. Speaking of... Actually, no. Before we speak of the heals that you're going to get, the Holy Power spenders, also the other source of Holy Power is through Beacon of Light, which is quite intriguing. This has also been buffed up to 50% healing transfer. But whenever you heal an ally directly that has Beacon on them, whenever you heal them with Flash of Light or Holy Light, you will also gain 1 Holy Power. So, for example, if I take this off, if I heal myself with Flash of Light, no Holy Power. If I put Beacon of Light on, 1 Holy Power every single time I heal that target. So that's going to be a very, very interesting adjustment to the sort of the flow of the Holy Paladin. It's going to be very intriguing. Now, your spenders, you've got 3 spenders baseline. First of all, the biggest and most important one, I think, is going to be Word of Glory. 3 Holy Power, instant cast, 40-yard range. Just a big single target heal. Heal them for 3,000. If I do this on myself, Word of Glory. Bam, looks like that. I actually got a proc, get another one out. So absolutely massive healing coming out from this. Again, to put it in perspective, Flash of Light's doing about 1,600. A Holy Light is doing about 2,100. Holy Shock is 1,300. So 3,000 healing from Word of Glory is a very chunky heal. Going to feel really nice. Light of Dawn then is our AoE. Of course, this was just a baseline cooldown ability for Holy Paladins in BFA. Now it's got no cooldown, but is a Holy Power spender instead. Which will do, again, a wave of healing energy. Will heal 5 injured allies in a frontal cone, a 15-yard frontal cone for 800. So, hang on. Need 1 more Holy Power. Ah, there we go. So, frontal cone, and there you are. Again, like 800. So, if you hit 5 allies, it's going to heal for about 4,000. So, it's going to heal for 4,000 total versus the 3,000 of Word of Glory. So that's sort of, you know, the general idea. If you're only hitting 4 targets, it's only very, very slightly better. If you're hitting 1 to 3 targets, it's going to be slightly weaker than Word of Glory, though it will spread the healing out, which may be better, may be worse. It's, you know, it's up for debate. So that's an interesting one there as well. And then, well, what do I do in situations where I'm generating this holy power, but it's a really low damage situation? I don't really need to heal my allies. What am I going to do with this holy power? Is it going to sit there? Well, no, because coming from the Proc Paladin, we also have Shield of the Righteous baseline as a holy power damage spender. And also personal survivability as well, right? So slam enemies in front of you with your shield, causing about 500 holy damage and increasing your armor by 850 for 4.5 seconds. Our baseline armor is about 28%. If we pop our Shield of the Righteous, here it goes, bonk, we're going to go up to about 42% damage reduction, right, for 4.5 seconds. So it's a nice little bit of extra survivability against physical hits. Going to be great in PvP. And going to be useful, I guess, a little bit against some like physical hits in Mythic Plus or in raids, perhaps. So certainly an interesting one there. I think mostly it's going to be, you know, it does a bit of AoE damage, so it's going to be sort of your dump whenever you don't need to use Word of Glory or Light of Dawn. This is your go-to instead. You know, it's not much damage. Like Consecration is 900 damage over 12 seconds. So yeah, I mean, like this is, it's not gonna wow anybody, but it's there. It's not too bad, right? It's not too bad. Okay, so there are the holy power bits. I want to put some like background footage up now to show you what the sort of the flow of this healing spec is gonna look like in Mythic Plus, because I think it has a very, very interesting flow. It was one thing I didn't like about the Glimmer Paladin in BFA, was that with Glimmer Paladin in BFA, it was really all about Holy Shock. And you only really cared about Holy Shock. So it was just Holy Shock for days. Holy Shock is the best. Crusader Strike just to reduce Holy Shock, and certainly at the end of BFA we had so much Ineffable Truth corruption stacked up and so much haste that Holy Shock could be every second GCD. In fact, you know, when Ineffable Truth went off, and certainly in Wings, every single cast for about 20, like it could be for even 20 seconds straight if you're lucky, I guess, would be Holy Shock just on its own. So it was you know, it was obviously very powerful, but I did think it was missing a little bit. It was a little bit too simple, and I really, really like what Blizzard has done here by bringing holy power back. In my opinion, what it's done is it's added that extra level that was really, in my opinion anyway, missing from Glimmer Paladin from BFA, right? It brings over the best of it, which is that feeling of being a melee healer, you know, actually, you know, getting into the thick of the fight, using your weapon, doing damage, and then also transferring that into healing, capturing the essence. You know, you're not a priest, right? You're not a priest, you're a paladin. It really captures that idea, but it gives you something more to manage. That, yes, Holy Shock is still super important, but then you're also considering your holy power. How am I going to spend my holy power? When do my abilities for generating holy power come off? It adds that extra level that is, for me, just super enjoyable. So I absolutely love this, I have to say. I really do love it. And it also ties in the value of Holy Shock, not just to you know, applying Glimmer or just being your best heal, but you know, it makes it work even without the Glimmer talent. Glimmer, by the way, is a new talent. We're going to look at that shortly. But it just makes Holy Shock flow really well without that. It makes Crusader Strike flow well. Doing melee damage is going to make sense, which is awesome. It really is good. One interesting change, I suppose, to mention too, is that Beacon of Light, because you generate a lot of holy power from healing your Beacon of Light with Holy Light and Flash of Light. That obviously makes your Infusion of Light procs, which we're going to come to in a second, more valuable. Those enhance those two spells, so they're more useful, whereas with Glimmer build in BFA, you'd really just ignore those procs for the most part, unless you were out of range of the boss and had nothing else to do. It was a proc that you ignored, which was very degenerate. Now there's much more of a reason to use that, because you actually use it to proc to get more holy power on your beacon target. And it's also going to encourage you to switch your beacon around onto different targets, certainly like the main tank in a raid. Whenever the tanks swap on the boss, you're going to want your beacon to be on the main tank so that you continue getting holy power from healing them with your Flash of Light and Holy Light. So that's pretty nice. Okay, let's take a quick look here at Infusion of Light, because I mentioned that it's different, and it is. What this now does is that your critical Holy Shocks will reduce the cast time of your next Flash of Light by 30%. I think it's just supposed to say, bit of a typo there in the tooltip, and it will increase the healing of your next Holy Light by 30%. So let's see if I can get a proc here. No such luck yet. Smack this guy a couple of times. Here we go. Fingers crossed. Oh my god. Foiled once more. What has the world come to? Alright, third time lucky. By third time lucky, of course, I meant fourth time lucky. Okay, bear in mind, by default, Holy Light's 2.3 second, 3,600 mana. Heals the target for 2,100. Flash of Light costs more, 4,400. 1.4 second cast time. Wow, we are cursed. Not a crit in sight. Not a crit in sight, and it heals for 1,500, so. I can't believe this. What is my crit chance? 11%, and Holy Shock already has 30% bonus. I don't know what to tell you guys. Infusion of Life's terrible. It never procs. Oh my god. Please. I beg you, game. I beg you. Please. There we go, at last. Infusion of Light, there we are. So, with Infusion of Light, Flash of Light's going to go down to a 1 second cast, so it's going to be significantly faster. And Holy Light's going to go up to 2,700 healing, so it's going to do a nice chunk of extra healing, which is really, really awesome. So, I think that's a good change. It used to do the opposite. It would make Holy Light faster and make Flash of Light have a higher crit chance, I think. I think this works much better for two reasons. Number one, if you're playing that sort of really melee and glimmer focused playstyle, right, then it's very, very easy then to weave in the Flash of Light, right? You don't really care because, you know, instantly got it there. Okay, I'm in melee. Well, Flash of Light's now so fast, I don't feel so bad about casting it. And that's an extra source of holy power if I use it on my beacon, right? If I'm using it, or alternatively, again, I can spend it as more of a caster playstyle and go, okay, well, Holy Light's going to become an absolutely massive heal, very mana efficient. So that's going to feel good too. It's going to be a proc that you actually use, which is really good, I think. And there you go. All right, next up we have auras. Auras are baseline, which is very cool. So first of all, Crusader Aura, which increases mounted movement speed by 20% for your party or raid. Devotion Aura, this is the one you're going to use most often, reduces damage taken by 3% for your party or raid. This no longer has any like drop-off effect or how many people are in it or blah, blah, blah. Just a flat 3% damage reduction for everybody within 40 yards of you in your party or raid. Devotion Aura. Concentration Aura reduces interrupt and silence effects on party and raid members by 30%. And then the most controversial one is Retribution Aura. When any party or raid member within 40 yards dies, you gain Avenging Wrath for 12 seconds. So that one's way out there. Yeah, I'm not going to comment too much on this one right now. Obviously, it could be very good in like crazy boss burns and stuff like that. Could be a balancing nightmare though. For the most part, you're going to be using a Devotion Aura. Aura Mastery, by the way, Aura Mastery is also changed. One thing, you'll quick glance at our talent tree will show you that we no longer have the auras as part of the talent tree. There's just these baseline auras now. The way Aura Mastery works is it's different for each aura that you have on. If you have Retribution Aura on, it will increase the duration of Avenging Wrath by 50%. With Concentration Aura, it will make affected allies immune to all interrupts and silences. Very, very good in PvP, of course. Devotion Aura has been nerfed. It now will increase damage reduction to 15% for everybody within 40 yards of you in your party or raid. Now, for me, this is fine. I think this is a very justified nerf. It was a bit too strong, I think. Like, if we compare the Discipline Priest barrier, that has to go down. You have to stack in the barrier. That's awkward to do. The Paladin Devotion Aura is so just generally useful. It's just universally good, universally applicable. So I think it being 15% damage reduction is actually, it makes sense. And that's a bit more fair. And then finally, Crusader Aura will give 60% mounted move speed bonus. So you can really zip around the place. Wow, we're so fast. Alterac Valley will never be the same again. Never be the same again. All right, a couple of other things that we've got coming then as well. So I already mentioned Hammer of Wrath, Light of Dawn, Shield of Righteous, Word of Glory. What else do we have? Okay, we have a couple of more Paladin-specific things. Sense Undead is back. You can now see Undead on the minimap. It's a whole new game, And then Turn Evil is here as well. 15-second cooldown, 1.5 second cast, 20-yard range. The power of the light compels an undead, aberration, or demon target to flee for up to 40 seconds. Damage can break the effect, and only one target can be turned at a time. So, could be useful in some of these Mythic Plus. I mean, look, it could be used against undead. Obviously, we're in the Shadowlands. There's going to be lots of undead in lots of these Mythic Plus dungeons, for sure. So, it's an extra interrupt. It's an extra stop on certain targets. Obviously, there's always risk with fears in Mythic Plus, you know, and pulling extra packs, but it's there, and it's an interesting extra bit of utility. And not like that, not like, you know, the Holy Paladin was lacking utility at all, but now we have even more coming with us into Mythic Plus, so that is very, very welcome. Then finally, as we look at the baseline stuff, and then we'll jump actually after this, we'll look at Legendaries, Conduits, and then Covenant abilities, the new the new Shadowlands stuff. let's take a quick look at the talents. So first of all, Crusader's Might. I just want to touch on this row very quickly. Like we have Light's Hammer, you know, throw the hammer on the ground. It pulls some AoE healing and damage. Bestow Faith is like the single target, short cooldown, is heal over time. Crusader's Might, I feel like, is the standout talent of the level 15 row, a bit too much. With Crusader's Strike reducing Holy Shock, like it just makes your Mythic Plus dungeon flow so much better. Right, because like if there's lots of AoE damage going out on your group, how do you heal up your group? Well, it gives you much more easy access to Holy Shock. It gives you a lot more generation of Holy Power, which just lets that flow very well. Getting more spenders out, getting more Holy Shocks out, that just feels really good. It makes the spec, it just makes the spec make more sense. So I'm perhaps a little bit disappointed, mildly disappointed, that Crusader's Might isn't just a baseline feature of the spec. It's going to be something I feel like you're probably going to talent into most of the time, but just point that out very quickly. New stuff though. Saved by the Light. This is a new talent. When an ally with your Beacon of Light is damaged below 30% health, they absorb the next 3,000-ish damage. You cannot shield the same person this way twice within 1 minute. So it's not a massive shield by any means, but it is a welcome sort of like extra layer of protection, which I think is pretty damn cool. The cooldown is pretty short on this, so yeah, that's pretty awesome, right? And it's an interesting one to compete with Judgment of the Light, which is just consistent, like extra healing to your group, or Holy Prism, which is a bit more controlled and on-use ability. So we'll see how this row works out, but I think it's a nice new talent for sure. Okay then, these final 3 rows have, as you can see, been rejuggled a lot. Divine Purpose, Holy Power abilities have a 15% chance to make your next Holy Power ability free and do 20% increased healing and damage. That's amazing. Holy Avenger, like, this is a pretty wow ability here. This has been reworked completely. Now a 3-minute cooldown. Your Holy Power generation is tripled for 20 seconds. So like every Holy Shock is going to give you 3 Holy Power, every Crusader Strike and so on. So you're going to just alternate like Generator Spender, Generator Spender, Generator Spender for all of Holy Avenger. It's going to massively increase your HPS in an absolutely huge way. So super powerful one here. A big burst one, but on a long cooldown. And then Seraphim as well. This is a new Holy Power Spender, 45-second cooldown. The Light magnifies your power for 15 seconds, giving 300-ish haste, crit strike, mastery, and versatility. Like in this like gear that we have by default here, you can see that I've got about that much mastery right now, but yeah, that's quite a substantial amount of secondary stats, certainly in lower gear levels. So yeah, it's a very interesting choice, level 40. Essentially, you're going, okay, do I want Divine Purpose for just like very consistent extra healing? That's random, but it's consistent. Do I want Holy Avenger for an absolutely massive throughput, but on a big 3-minute cooldown? Also worth noting, by the way, that this does not sync up with the Avenging Wrath cooldown. That's actually probably okay for a Holy Paladin, right? In fact, it might be too powerful if you put the two of these together. It'd just be too much healing, just overheal in a lot of circumstances. So you might even, like in Mythic Plus, split these up to cover multiple healing instances, for example. Or then Seraphim, which is kind of the midpoint between the two. It's like 15-second bursts of extra healing every 45 seconds. So yeah, it's an interesting talent here. And there you go. Level 45, Sanctified Wrath. Avenging Wrath lasts 25% longer and reduces Holy Shock's cooldown by 50%. Avenging Crusader is still the same, where your damaging abilities start to heal people nearby. And then Awakening, Word of Glory, and Light of Dawn have the 15% chance to grant you Avenging Wrath for 10 seconds. So this one is more useful than before. Obviously, Awakening is going to go pretty well with Divine Purpose, and certainly go very well with Holy Avenger. In fact, that's a pretty interesting combo, right? With Holy Avenger, right? I pop Holy Avenger, I'm spamming all these spenders. There's a very, very good chance that I'm going to pop Avenging Wrath for like probably at least half of Holy Avenger. So that's quite an interesting combo there that might bring Awakening kind of out of the dirt, out of the dust as a sort of forgotten talent. So that's quite cool. And yeah, there you go. So lots of interesting choices there. And then Glimmer of Light, here it is. Glimmer is here to stay. It's a level 50 talent now, and I think it fits really well into this talent here. Holy Shock leaves a Glimmer of Light on the target for 30 seconds. When you Holy Shock, all targets of Glimmer of Light are damaged for 150 or healed for about 400. So it's a nice little extra chunk of healing. Again, like, you know, we're doing about 1,300 healing with Holy Shock. You're going to replicate 400 onto everyone with Glimmer. It's going to be quite a bit of healing. What I like about this, though, is that it does compete with Beacon of Faith. Have a second Beacon, which is, you know, it's going to be useful, especially with the direct healing. Going to work with that. Or Beacon of Virtue, which replaces your Beacon of Light. Gives you 8 seconds of Beacon of Light, though, on up to 4 people on a 15-second cooldown. So really, really, you know, it's kind of like half uptime on really good AoE healing, like really good party healing. And again, the benefits of this, of course, being that not only is it transferring loads of healing to all your party, but it's also giving you much more consistent generation when you're spamming casts on your party. So I think that's a very good trade-off there versus Glimmer of Light, which is going to work really well, and a very consistent healing, especially with Holy Shock affecting talents like Crusader's Might and all of that. Yeah, I think it's good. Well, I love what they've done with the Holy Paladin talent tree. I think there's lots of different interesting combos that you can do. I think, which is good. Like, it's going to depend on the circumstances. Like, okay, some dungeons I'm going to want Glimmer. Sometimes, though, with some affixes, maybe Beacon of Virtue is the way to go. Raid fights, likewise. Maybe Holy Adventure is really good. You know, like, yeah, it just seems like a good talent tree with lots of potential for different builds, which is what we should have. So that's very good to see. All right, let's look at the legendaries. I relogged and I fixed the sky. You're welcome. Probably was driving some people mad. Okay. Let's look at the legendaries. So we have 4 generic paladin-wide legendaries that are there for every paladin spec. And then right now we have 3 holy specific legendaries. So generic ones. Shadowcast Necklace here. Judgment has a 50% chance to reduce the cost of your next holy power spender by 1. So that's like, it's okay. I mean, Judgment does a lot of damage, right? It does a lot of damage, and then it increases the damage of our next Crusader Strike or Holy Shock. So it's a big damaging ability to weave in when we don't need to be doing healing. I think that's fine. It gives it a sort of Holy Power-esque generator effect. It's okay, not amazing. The Blessings of Dusk and Dawn. This one is very cool. When you reach 5 Holy Power, gain the Blessing of Dawn. When you reach 0 Holy Power, you gain the Blessing of Dusk. So I can show these off to you right now, for example. It's actually going to be a little bit hard here. There you go. I got the Blessing of Dusk. A little bit tricky, perhaps, without my Beacon of Light on myself to get up to 5 Holy Power. But there you go. There's 5 Holy Power. And then I'm going to try get Beacon of Dusk back up. There we go. I'm going to spend my Infusion of Light. Okay. I'm going to try get up to 5. That's not too bad, actually. You can certainly keep pretty good uptime on these. You can keep almost total uptime, but it's definitely tricky. It's something you have to work for. But nonetheless, what this legendary does, which I think is very cool, is it does provide you with that throughput benefit. Blessing of Dawn, you get a nice throughput benefit, which is kind of noticeable, and that's what you want. But more importantly, I think, Blessing of Dusk, as the defensive benefit, that could be very useful. Very useful. When you look at higher level Mythic Plus in particular at the end of BFA, and how people are stacking versatility and they're stacking versatile corruptions in order to push these higher keys, it just illustrates to you that the importance of damage reduction abilities to survive in these really dangerous circumstances, like in difficult progression raid fights, in difficult progression like Mythic Plus, obviously in PvP where you can be a focused target. That survivability could be absolutely crucial and could be very, very welcome. So I think this one's really cool and it's kind of fun and you play around it. So yeah, I like this one an awful lot. It's a great legendary. Shadowcast Ring here. Your Blessing of Freedom, Blessing of Sacrifice, and Blessing of Protection cooldowns are reduced by 1 second per holy power spent. This one is very intriguing for Holy Paladin, I think. Seeing as, like, you know, with Holy Avenger, you know, with Crusader's Might, giving us more Holy Shocks and all that sort of stuff, you know, like, we have a few different ways to alter our Holy Power generation and consumption. So I think that's quite interesting, and obviously this is a very welcome effect, in particular for the Holy Paladin. Compared to the Ret Paladin, where it's kind of nice, but, you know, it's not helping your damage. This is helping your team's survivability in a big way, so it's very, very relevant to what you're doing as a Holy Paladin. This could be really good in certain raid fights. It could be really good in Mythic Plus. It's just really enhancing those big utility cooldowns, so I'm very excited about this one. I think it's great. And then finally we have these, in this case, Shadowcast Sabatons, where casting Avenging Wrath or any Forbearance ability gets 5 Holy Power. So that's, you know, Blessing Protection, Lay on Hands, Divine Shield, all that stuff. So that's a bunch of extra burst Holy Power, extra burst healing. I'm not sure if this one's quite as useful. I feel like it sounds maybe a bit better on paper than it will be in practice. It could be easy to overcap Holy Power. I don't know if you're necessarily going to want that burst of Holy... Like, if you've just used Lay on Hands on somebody, are you going to need to then, you know, spam out a couple of Word of Glory right after? Like, maybe yes, but also at the same time, maybe no. So, I don't know about that one, but it could certainly end up being good, but maybe not as exciting to me. But, hey, maybe you love it. Let me know. Then we also have 3 Holy Paladin specific legendaries, which are frankly pretty amazing. The first one here is the Grimveil Cape. Infusion of Light has 1 additional charge, and its effects are increased by 20%. This is pretty phenomenal. Let me see if I can get a proc here of Infusion of Light. But yeah, instead of getting 1 infusion of light, you're going to get 2. So again, by default, right? By default, Holy Light's doing 2,100 healing. By default, Flash of Light has a 1.4 second cast time. Let's see if we can we get our infusion of light here. Don't fail me now. Don't fail me now, game. Oh, okay. It's not happening yet. Bear with me here. Let's do Judgment. We'll consecrate for the fun of it. No crit again. We are truly unlucky. I should probably cast it offensively. It doesn't want to crit on me. It doesn't really matter. My macro is not quite set up properly right now, so it doesn't work offensively. Here we go. Infusion of Light. You can see 2 charges. Affects 2 casts now instead of what it was before. This brings Flash of Light down to a 0.7 second cast, so it's mega fast. And it makes Holy Light heal for 3,200, which is absolutely whopper. Absolutely whopper. So this is a phenomenal ability. I really like this legendary. I think it's really cool. It really emphasizes the new reworked Infusion of Light, which in my opinion is a big improvement. And yeah, I think it's just phenomenal, right? It really is good. And this ties into, you know, obviously a lot of people love the Glimmer of Light and sort of melee, instant cast, slinging Holy Paladin. But a lot of people are going to want that more caster-based Holy Paladin, and this one is certainly going to let you do that with really big, beefy Holy... Like, your Holy Light is going to heal for more than your Word of Glory at that point when you've got this on. So, yeah, this really enhances that caster-type Paladin playstyle, so a very welcome legendary for that. Next up, we have probably... This one seems just insanely good, guys. This is Shock Barrier, right? Holy Shock protects the target... with a shield of Holy Light for 18 seconds, absorbing up to 700 damage, and it refreshes every 6 seconds. So let me see if can I exit combat here and put this on. There we go. So here we go. Holy Shock myself. Number 1 has a nice little effect here. Yeah, the Shock Barrier absorbs 700 damage, and every 6 seconds that 700 absorption comes back. This is so good. You know, like, you go into Sanctified Wrath with the Holy Shock cooldown reduction, and, like, you're going to be throwing out these on your party like crazy. It's going to be phenomenal. It works super well. It's just a ton of extra healing. Like, you know, Holy Shock by default is doing 1,300 healing. So, a 700 shield, that's about 50% more healing just in the shield alone. And that's not even including the fact that the shield refreshes several times while that buff is active. So, they're absolutely massive. It's possibly even stronger than Glimmer is. So yeah, what a legendary. Like, wow, like Glimmer of Light plus Shock Barrier build is going to be amazing for that playstyle. So what a powerful legendary. Really is that strong. Then in my opinion, the least interesting Holy Paladin one, Light of Dawn's ranging is increased to 40 yards, and all allies inside your Light of Dawn will receive 10% increased healing from your spells for 6 seconds. Now I believe that this will only work on the 5 people that you actually heal with Light of Dawn. I don't know if it affects everybody. Not that it matters too much, because you don't have, like, AoE heals as the Holy Paladin, per se. But, I mean, that's certainly... It's okay. You know, this isn't blowing my mind or anything. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Light of Dawn's going to have a much longer range. It's going to go way further, 40 yards. It's fine. Yeah, not too excited about this one. We had an Azurite trait that was like this in BFA. It's okay. You're probably going to have to... It's a bit annoying in the sense that you have to track an extra buff on your unit frames. And that buff's not as exciting as Shock Barrier, like. But it's fine. Like, you know, just deliver some more direct healing to those people with that buff, I guess. I feel like it's weak enough, though. The 10% more healing buff is weak enough that you're mostly going to ignore it. And it's just a nice little perk. So that's okay. Not as good, I think, as the other two, which are very exciting and really adjust your playstyle and kind of push you a little bit more towards one or the other. So... yeah, on the whole though, legendaries for Holy Paladin look incredible. Let's go check out the conduits. All right, so your conduits. We got 3 types of conduits. Finesse, which are kind of utility. Potency, which are throughput, so more healing or damage. And endurance, which are survivability. And you slot them into a talent tree, sort of like this, right? We have several right now as the Holy Paladin. 3 endurance conduits. First up, Golden Path. Consecration heals you for 50% of Consecration's damage every second while standing within it. Divine Call. Divine Shield's cooldowns reduced by 5 seconds when you take damage. This effect can only be triggered once every 30 seconds. And Shielding Words. Word of Glory applies Absorb Shield that lasts 15 seconds for 15% healing on the Paladin when used. So I think all of these are actually pretty okay. They're a lot better for Holy Paladin than they were for Ret Paladin, for example. Like Consecration for us is a bigger source of our damage, so that's kind of okay. Obviously, Word of Glory is our probably main spender, so this is going to add up to a lot of extra healing on us in the shield form, which is always nice. And more Divine Shields. Like D-Shield is about a 3.5 minute cooldown if you take Unbreakable Spirit. this talent, if you take damage constantly and trigger it basically on cooldown, knocks it down to a 3-minute cooldown, which is kind of nifty. So all of those I think are pretty good, actually. You know, not game-changing, but solid enough. A bit of extra healing and survivability, which is nice. For finesse, we have this. This one is bananas. This one's way too good right now, I think. But after it ends, this is Echoing Blessings. After it ends, Blessing of Freedom increases the target's movement speed by 15% for 15 seconds. After Blessing of Protection or Blessing of Sacrifice ends, the target takes 15% less damage for 15 seconds. So this is so damn good. Like, if you don't need Blessing of Freedom for the movement impairing effect removal, you can even you're a very slow class as a Holy Paladin. Like you get left behind a bit in dungeons sometimes, like racing from pole to pole. So like just using this on a 25-second cooldown to give you, 15 seconds of 15% move speed, it's not crazy, but that's pretty damn good. That's very, very welcome. And Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Sacrifice giving 15% damage reduction for 15 seconds is unbelievably good in my opinion. Unbelievably good. Like, considering that Blessing of Sacrifice is 30% damage reduction, right, for 12 seconds, an extra 15 seconds of 15% damage reduction really emphasizes and ups the effectiveness. So phenomenal. So this is amazing. And right now I'd say you're going to be kind of seeking out a conduit path that lets you apply those for sure, I think. Next up, Light's Barding. Divine Steed's duration increased by 50%. That's kind of nice. More movement, always good. Crusader Aura. Stalwart is Crusader. Reduces all allies' fear duration by 30%. More of a PvP thing. And Wrench Evil. Turn Evil's cast time reduced by 50%. Range increased by 50 yards. Meh. I really don't see the point of that. So yeah, for me, I'm going, I really, really want one Finesse Conduit. I could take a second one with Divine Steed. And I'll probably ignore these other two in most circumstances, I think. Then, for our Potency Conduits, we have 4 Holy Paladin specific ones. First up, Enkindle Spirit. This one is insane. Aura Mastery's cooldowns reduced by 30 seconds. Okay, alright, cool. So, from a 3-minute cooldown to 2.5-minute cooldown, just with the baseline Conduit here, that is phenomenal. This is almost definitely a must pick every single time. That's just so, so good. Of course, bearing in mind that Devotion Aura is slightly nerfed, but it's still a phenomenal cooldown, both in a party setting and in a raid setting. Super useful, and having that more frequently is so, so good. Resplendent Light. Holy Light heals up to 5 targets within 5 yards for 5% of its healing. I think this does combo very well with the infusion of Light Legendary. Not so well without that. Like, I feel like without that Legendary, and there's a playstyle where I think you're mostly going to use Infusion of Light, and you're mostly just going to cast Flash of Light for that Holy Power. I think it's with more caster type playstyles though, I think this could end up being a very welcome, just extra little throughput to your AoE healing. So that could be good. Focus Light. Holy Shock's chance to critically strike is increased by 15%. I mean, this one is also just insane. Like, I don't know. It's just way too good. Like, this is just straight up mandatory for every build. You're going for a Holy Shock build? Obviously, you want this. You're going for a caster build? Well, Infusion of Light's actually really good now, so you're obviously going to want this as well. That's what triggers Infusion of Light, so yeah. This is just insane. And then finally, Untempered Dedication. Light of the Martyr's damage and healings increased by 5% each time it is cast. This effect can stack up to 5 times, lasts for 15 seconds. So, I mean, that's not too bad, I guess, Light of the Martyr. That instant cast heal, like, it's okay, but I mean, for me, straight up, what I'm looking at when I look at these conduits, I'm thinking, I really want Echoing Blessings, I really want Enkindle Spirits, I really want Focus Light, and then I'll take whatever other thing I can. I don't really mind too much, so long as I have those 3. I'm feeling mega powerful. Like, what powerful effects. Absolutely insane. So there you go. Paladin Conduits. Arguably a bit too strong, but yeah, solid nonetheless. Alright then, the final piece of the Holy Paladin puzzle here are the Covenant abilities, and we're starting off with the doozy. We're starting off with an absolutely amazing one with the Kyrian. First up, signature ability, Summon Stewart. Call in your little pal, he comes over, you can sell stuff to him, change your talents, that sort of stuff. He'll give you a Phial of Serenity, though. This is essentially like an extra health stone. Has 3 charges. You can use 1 per combat, which restores 15% health, and the crucial bit, really, removes all diseases, poisons, curses, and bleeds affecting you. So, situationally, very, very strong. I will say, very quickly, when I looked at the Demon Hunters, the mobility signature abilities, like with Venthyr and Night Fae, those are pretty bad for Demon Hunter. You don't really need them because you're so mobile already. Whereas the survivability, survivability Covenant signature abilities were really, really good for them. I feel like for Paladin it's a bit the opposite. I feel like with Paladin your mobility is so terrible that you really want the signature abilities that give you mobility, and then the survivability ones aren't as necessary because you have things like Bop, etc. But they're still good. It's still good for sure. Now, the Covenant abilities where things get really damn good. Divine Toll, 1 minute cooldown. Instantly cast Holy Shock on up to 5 targets within 30 yards. That is just insane. Oh my god. Consider Shock Barrier as well on top of this. And Glimmer, right? And bam. I'm going to hit multiple targets. Number one, as you can see, it works in AoE for damage if you don't have allies. Obviously, if you do have allies, this becomes a massive group heal where you just Holy Shock everybody. And it also generates for you up to 5 Holy Power, which is super, super good. You know, the thing for Ret Paladin and for Prot Paladin is in single target. This becomes quite weak in single target, okay? It's bad in single target because it's only gonna, you know, hit one thing because it only hits enemies. But for the Holy Paladin, this not only hits enemies, but this also hits your allies. So you're essentially always going to get the full benefit out of this. It's basically, oh, it's just such a good cooldown. This is insanely good. Oh, it's just phenomenal. Like Divine Toll, it's going to be hard for anything to compete with Divine Toll for Holy Paladin, I think. Just what a satisfying ability. What a satisfying ability. Just bam, a big burst of extra Holy Power, a massive burst of extra healing, great synergy with so many different talents and legendaries, etc. Yeah, Divine Toll, it's a winner. It is a winner. But let's check out the other ones too. Okay, over for the Venthyr, the Vampiric Paladins. And we have a very, very, very nice signature ability with the Venthyr, Endure of Shadows. 1 minute cooldown, 1.5 second cast with a 35-yard range. Essentially, it's a casted teleport, right? So I choose where I want to go. I want to go over here. Here we go. Endure of Shadows casted and just teleport right over. Really nice. Again, mobility ability for a wheelchair class is always phenomenal. You can potentially dodge some fight mechanics with it and so on. Do potentially some skips in Mythic Plus. So a very, very nice thing for a Paladin in particular. And then we have a weird Covenant ability called Ashen Hallow for the Venthyr Paladins, which has a 4 minute cooldown, like whopper cooldown. 1.5 second cast, 30-yard range. Hallow the target area for 30 seconds. This is the size of it, by the way. It's massive, right? Hallow the target area for 30 seconds. This is all reduced by haste, so it's like every 2 seconds by default, right? Every 2 seconds, an enemy in the area suffers 750-ish shadow damage, and an ally is healed for about 1,300. And while within the Hallow, you can also use Hammer of Wrath on any target. Let me show you what this looks like. So we have a cast time. Looks cool. Bam! It looks incredible, right? And look at this. I can Hammer of Wrath whoever I want, which is great because it's an extra source of holy power, so that's really good. Now, I think that I talked about how bad this was for Retribution Paladin. I think for Holy Paladin, though, this actually works pretty damn well. I actually think this is okay, right? So number one, it's quite a bit of healing. In fact, it is exactly the same amount of healing, proccing every 2 seconds for free, for that 30 seconds, as a Flash of Light. So you're essentially getting a free Flash of Light on a random party member every 2 seconds. That's actually pretty good for 30 seconds. You know, that effect is quite nice. The shadow damage, you know, again, that's more significant. It's more substantial for us because obviously as a healer, our damage output is lower. So compared to a damage spec or like either Prot or Ret, that's going to be a little bit of damage. No, it's not mind-blowing, but it's a bit more than Holy Shock. Like Holy Shock here is, Holy Shock is 590 holy damage, of course, with a good crit chance. So it's kind of like a free Holy Shock for damage almost, or it's kind of like a free kind of half of a judgment of damage every 2 seconds. So it's not too terrible for that. So those two effects together work okay. And then on top of that, I think whereas for Ret Paladin, like you want to stack damage cooldowns as a DPS, you're probably not going to want to stack this with Avenging Wrath, but use this as a separate cooldown and just split them up, because this is the weird thing. Avenging Wrath already gives you access to Hammer of Wrath on whoever you want, right? Already gives you access to Hammer of Wrath. And Ashen Hallow gives you access to Hammer of Wrath and everything within it. So I think using the two together is quite clunky, right? I think, again, this works better for Holy Paladin, so you can like pull one pack in a Mythic Plus, or have one source of raid damage in a raid. You're going to use Avenging Wrath to cover that. Then you got another pack or another source of raid damage, and you can use Ashen Hallow to kind of deal with that. So I think that could work okay. But yeah, it's certainly a bit of a wonky one. It has an absolutely massive cooldown, so I guess it raises a bit of a question. Although this works pretty well for Holy Paladin as sort of an extra cooldown that you'd probably separate out, is it fun to play around with a 4-minute cooldown? I think for some people, they'll love it being a 4-minute cooldown because it looks really cool as well. For other people, they're probably going to hate it. So yeah, it's an interesting one though, isn't it? Very controversial one and quite weird. It's the longest cooldown for Covenant ability, I think, in the entire game. Ashen Hallow for Venthyr. There you go. For the polar opposite then, for the polar opposite side of the spectrum from the Venthyr, we'll jump across here to the Necrolords. As a Necrolord, your signature ability is Fleshcraft, a 2-minute cooldown, 4-second channel that forms a shield, right? Forms a shield for up to 20% of your maximum health, and that shield does persist for 2 minutes, right? You can also channel this near corpses to make it more powerful, and if you channel it near corpses, it can go up to a 50% of your max health shield. So that's a very, very big shield. Again, I think this guy's called Nubmaster. Oh my lord. I'm at Nubkeks. Me, I've got serious competition. He's me, but better. He's a dwarf, so that goes without saying, to be fair. Dwarf master race. I'll give him that one. Sorry, what was I talking about this? Yeah, I think it's a little bit awkward for Paladin. Like, for example, on a demon hunter. On a demon hunter, I'm like, okay, you know, like we kill a pack in Mythic Plus, channel a big old Fleshcraft shield, and I'm just gonna like whatever, zip on over to my team where we're pulling the next pack, and it feels great, and I've got this big survivability thing, and that's awesome. For a Paladin, it's gonna like I'm gonna Fleshcraft that pack, and then oh god, I hope I've got Divine Steed to catch up here because this is a bit rough. So, you know, the mobility concerns are certainly there. Then the Covenant ability for Paladins is Vanquisher's Hammer. The way this works for Holy Paladin, it does cost 1 holy power. And has a 30-second cooldown, 30-yard range, does 600 shadow damage with the hammer, then empowers your next Word of Glory to automatically trigger Light of Dawn. I don't know. Like, this one, I really don't know. I really don't know about this one. This one, to me, is a bit clunky. So I can do my Vanquisher's Hammer. There it is. I can Holy Shock. And here we go. So my Word of Glory. Let's heal him. It does the automatic Light of Dawn. Interestingly enough, as you actually saw there, that was convenient. Divine Purpose can proc off of this, so that's a nice combo for sure. I don't like. It's okay. It's okay. The positive about this is that, you know, it is essentially with a 30-second cooldown. This is sort of a core part of your rotation. You're going to constantly be weaving this in very regularly to your rotation. So that's kind of nice. It's the opposite of the Venthyr, which is the really, really long 4-minute cooldown. 30-second cooldown, much more core part. I feel like this is rather dull though. It's rather boring, and it does get a little bit awkward in the sense that you know, especially like using, like, if I'm, for me, for example, I turn my character with my mouse, but then I'm also using mouse over macros, right, to heal. So if I want to like Word of Glory this guy, I'm probably gonna like Word of Glory on my unit, for, like my raid frames, like over here or down here, wherever you have your raid frames. It's a little bit awkward to have yourself facing the right way for Light of Dawn. Whereas when I'm using Light of Dawn, like, because it's instant cast and it's AoE, I can like turn and face the Light of Dawn how I want it to, and it's very natural. I will say that this flows a little bit weird, but it's not, you know, it's not bad. It's okay. It's okay. I think I'd rather have Divine Toll for the Kyrian, just 5 Holy Shocks for free, but this one's still not terrible. So there you go. That is Vanquisher's Hammer. And then finally, we have probably maybe the most controversial Covenant ability for the Paladins, right? First of all, we have a very, very nice signature ability in Soul Shape. This is super good. Turn into a Vulpin, teleporting 15 yards forward and increasing your movement speed by 50%. And you can reactivate Soul Shape several times every 4 seconds to teleport again. And it lasts for 12 seconds or indefinitely in a rest area. That's 1.5-minute cooldown. So let's show it over here. So very cool. Turn into a beautiful glowing fox. And you see the flicker cooldown over here. Teleport. Awesome, right? Super nice. Great ability. Really good ability for a Paladin, I think, in my opinion. Just super, super welcome. Low mobility class. You're going to love this. Like, I think every Holy Paladin has been there a bit in Mythic Plus where, you know, you're... my favorite example is the frickin' Mechagon Workshop, right? With that frickin' not elevator, like the treadmill after Cujo, after the dog boss, and your whole party's has gone ahead. You know, like the demon hunter's just like backflipped up the frickin' conveyor belt, and he's away, and you're stuck there just slowly walking up, going, "Don't worry, guys, I got Divine Steeds back in 30 seconds. I'll be with you, you know, in a matter of hours." Yeah, so this is going to fit really well, I think, into the Paladin toolkit. That's a lot of extra mobility, so that's nice. Now, Blessing of Seasons is her Covenant ability. This one is quite odd. So first of all, first part of it, you have 4 blessings. These each last for 30 seconds with the 30-second cooldown. So they've changed this a few times already. This is the current iteration. This may change again. But right now, for example, I'm going to start with Blessing of Summer, which is going to bless an ally for 30 seconds, causing their attacks to have a 40% chance to deal 30% additional damage as Holy. Now, I think for Holy Paladin, this is quite interesting, because obviously you don't want to cast it on yourself. That's a waste. You're going to want to cast this on a DPS. Obviously, I can't cast it on him. It's going to cast on me. The effect is very cool, though. Actually, never mind. I did cast it. Wait, I did cast it on him? Okay, never mind. I take it back. He's not in my party, but I can cast it on him anyway. So Blessing of Summer. There you go. My Shadow Priest buddy over here has a 40% chance to do 30% additional damage as Holy. Again, you work it out on average, that's 12% more damage as Holy for 30 seconds. So that's, you know, it's a decent enough damage increase. Once this expires, or sorry, once the cooldown ticks away, I'm going to get Blessing of Autumn. Blessing of Autumn is very powerful. Very powerful. Which blesses an ally for 30 seconds, causing their cooldowns to recover 50% faster. So, if I show you this real fast, like this is me, like doing whatever, you know, a relatively basic sort of Holy Shock rotation. We're not going too crazy here or anything. Very basic stuff. This is my rotation speed. You get the idea. Let's go Blessing of Autumn now. So Blessing of Autumn. All right, cool. We're speeding up, boys. We're speeding up big time. We're actually lagging a little bit. Definitely a little bit of lag right there. So we're definitely weaving through our abilities way faster with that blessing. So that's kind of insane, right? You can see how many more Crusader Strikes and Holy Shocks I'm getting off, for example. So that's a very substantial effect, right? The Blessing of Autumn. In fact, it also makes the blessing itself cool down faster, which is kind of hilarious. So that's super strong. Like, wow, that's super strong. There's also a Conduit. It makes Blessing of Autumn last 30% longer. So, mega power spike right there. Blessing of Winter. Bless an ally for 30 seconds. Their attacks do 38 frost damage and reduce enemies' movement speed by 3% and attack speed by 1%, stacking up to 10 times. Again, probably more likely you're going to cast this on a... on someone else in your party that's going to be doing more damage. But, you know, it's still not too bad, right? You can see it stacking up here. We do attack pretty often as a Holy Paladin, so it does work for us still. It's not terrible. But yeah, you get the idea there with the Blessing of Winter. Useful in PvP, of course, and useful to, you know, just 10% less attack speed when fully stacked against a tough mob is okay, and 30% less attack speed. It's a bit of kiting potential for your tank, so kind of a nifty one. And finally, the Blessing of Spring. Bless an ally for 30 seconds, increasing their healing done by 10% and healing received by 20%. So again, you're probably going to just cast this one on yourself, right? 10% more healing for 30 seconds, plus heal yourself for more, which is very welcome in Mythic Plus or tough raid situations, or certainly in PvP. So yeah, there you are. They are the blessings, right? They're all the different blessings you can get. I think this one is super interesting. Like I find it very intriguing, and you got those decisions to make. So Blessing of Summer, like what ally am I going to put this on? Who has their damage cooldowns coming up now? Okay, well our Demon Hunter used meta on the last pack. I'm not going to put it on the Havoc Demon Hunter. Oh, Fire Mage has Combustion coming up. Hey, I'm your new best friend. Have a Blessing of Summer. You know, and then whatever. Do I need the healing with Blessing of Autumn? Do I put it on myself? Will I put it on my tank so they have more defensive cooldowns? Do I put it on a DPS that's reliant on cooldowns and they have, you know, more combustions or whatever? Pretty interesting. So yeah, I don't know. Like I like this one a lot. I think it's super cool. It does seem like it has the potential to be kind of imbalanced. But there you go. That's the Night Fae, and they are all of the Covenant abilities for the Holy Paladin. And there you have it, guys. They are all the different parts of the Holy Paladin here on the Shadowlands beta. I think you'll probably agree with me when we say kind of like, wow, what a great glow up of a spec. Like, Holy Paladin has really come into its own in Shadowlands, even more so than it did at the end of BFA. I mean, there's still the question, will it be as powerful as it was at the end of BFA? I don't know. That's not a question we can answer yet. There hasn't been tuning passes on the beta or anything, so it's still too early to say. But certainly, from a fun perspective and from a gameplay perspective, the Holy Paladin is getting a ton of absolutely fantastic additions to its toolkit. From the baseline addition of Holy Power, which adds just a ton more interest and really enables as well kind of a decision between that sort of melee caster type playstyle, which is focused on fighting in melee and throwing out instant casts and quick flashes of light, compared to more of a caster type playstyle, which is throwing out those big beefy holy lights onto their beacon of light target. Yeah, it's just so good. It's so good. On top of having Hammer of Wrath for an extra rotational damage ability and Execute, The new auras coming in, so that utility for your group. It's just great. It's just really good. On top of having a really good talent tree, again, like, you know, especially for paladins with Glimmer build who've been locked into the one talent build for forever now in BFA, it's going to be a bit of a breath of fresh air to have a lot of different options. Like, do I want to go for Glimmer, or do I want that Beacon of Virtue? That's a difficult choice. Do I want Divine Purpose for some constant like procs of extra Holy Power spenders, or do I want the massive cooldown of Holy Avenger? There's some really interesting choices in the talent tree. And then on top of that, some absolutely incredible legendaries. Some really interesting and potentially overpowered even conduits as well. And then for me, I will say for the Covenant abilities, I think they're all actually pretty good for Holy Paladin. They all do their own thing. I would certainly say for me that the standouts are the Kyrian, with Divine Toll just being that super satisfying big burst healing cooldown every 1 minute. Just so good. That synergizes with all of your Holy Shock stuff. Or then alternatively, the other one that I personally really like is obviously the Night Fae, with the different blessings, choosing who to put your blessings on, and just start having that sort of rotational flow to your spec, where every 30 seconds there's a different blessing up, which is doing a different thing, either giving that cooldown reduction to you, which is really nice, giving you bonus healing perhaps, or again, giving those to your party, choosing which damage, like which damage dealer has their cooldowns and it's going to benefit from the Blessing of Summer the most. I think that's really fun, and again, I like that aspect of the Paladin, the idea that I'm throwing out blessings, oftentimes not on me, but oftentimes on my party, and having that sort of supportive utility type playstyle, I think it's just super cool. So yeah, I've had a blast playing Holy Paladin. I think it's just, yeah, it's BFA but better. It's BFA, but whereas in BFA, Glimmer was sort of an accident. That Glimmer playstyle was an accident that just sort of happened, and Blizzard went, okay, oh, well, this is crazy. Let's like nerf it down and balance it a bit so it's not too crazy, but we still want to have this be a part of the game, and people like it, and it's very cool that this emerged. And I think in Shadowlands, they took all the good stuff about that playstyle and said, okay, let's make it like just a core part, a core option in the toolkit, and let's just make the toolkit work around that. Let's make it as if it's designed for that from the ground up, with Holy Power and with everything, so that it all flows really well and it just makes sense and it feels like a whole complete spec that just all fits together in a very satisfying way. So yeah, absolutely love the Holy Paladin here. Probably arguably the best spec I've played so far in Shadowlands beta. I think it's just so good. So yeah, massive thumbs up from me. Hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Protection Paladin. See you guys all then. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.